Welcome to Passages, the podcast where life gets deep, friendship gets real, and the wisdom of the Bible flows. Usually right after a debate about tacos and Bigfoot. Join Patrick Birch, Drew Kaiser, Jason Pulliam, and Tim Layton as they explore Scripture, share great quotes, and occasionally get sidetracked by snacks and bad preachers.
Welcome. You're listening to Passages, a podcast where we talk about passages. And we're glad that you joined us tonight.
Nailed it.
I never started one that way.
No,
yeah, that's something new.
That's good.
Yeah.
We're in rare form tonight, folks. Just hang on.
We getting warmed up.
The pre-show was a winner.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Glad to have Tim back.
It is good to be back, brother.
There was a big hole at the table over here. I don't know what's going on.
We might have to start a new.
No.
This is what our listeners tune in for.
I'm not going to look at
inside
Patrick
jokes
for the next
that
5
aren't even
minutes.
told. I mean, this is a joke. Tim and I have no idea what's so funny.
I'm lost.
It's the young people are at it again, Tim.
Tim said it was a winner. And Jason and I looked at each other and we had the exact same thought. I'll let y'all think about that for a second.
No, I think it'd be better if we just move on.
And then we had the weirdest high five I've ever had.
And Tim just hit his head on the mic.
Boy, we are.
Take
All
two.
right.
Welcome. You're listening to Passages, a podcast with four idiots that instead of going home on Wednesday night, sit up at the church building and talk about stuff that doesn't matter. Glad that you joined us.
Oh, man.
Tim, we're glad to have you back from
Thanks
the
a
beach,
lot.
buddy.
And I wanted to share real quick some things that I learned at the beach this time. We went on a trip down to Fort Morgan near Gulf Shores and got some things that I need to share that I think may be helpful to others. At a minimum, they were amusing to me. All right, here's the first thing I learned at the beach. I'm never going to the beach again without one of these tents that's like called Niso or Sun Ninja or something like that.
Yeah, Sun Ninja.
I'm Googling it right now.
All right.
Okay, I have a thought on this. I'm going to let you finish, but
All right.
come back to me.
You know how you ever had this thought, or, I know we all have, you're just one big thought away from from $1 million or, independent wealth or something, right? Just got to have that one big idea.
I've really never thought that.
These tents are that idea.
Yep.
And because, there were different kinds of tents out at the beach, right? And the typical one, the accordion style, sort of
Like pop-up
4-post pop-up tent, right? That has the, little awning on the top.
You mean the ones that are always blowing down the beach?
Exactly. That it's always,
And
it's always bent and
take a literal miracle to get up and down.
Right.
And they do not fit in the trash can as you come off the beach.
And they're heavy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So we had some friends that were down at the beach at the same time we were, and they had a Niso. All right. And so the whole premise of this thing is it's got an awning, but it has like 4 little poles that basically sort of snap together, right? So they have the individual pieces and like a cord that runs through them. And so they magnetically just pop, and then you have a pole. So you have 4 poles and you have a piece of fabric. But the genius of this thing is the whole premise is you take that piece of fabric and in each corner that goes all the way down to the ground, you fill it up with sand.
Where do you get the sand?
Glad you asked. There's a little bit of that on the beach.
You got to look really hard for it, though, Jason.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I'll have to bring my shovel.
And so you fill it up with sand, you poke these poles underneath that fabric, and your tent's there, right?
Yep.
And so it's, super easy, super lightweight, and you can adjust it very easily. And when the wind blows, the worst that could possibly happen is, it blows one of those little poles down. It doesn't bend your whole frame or anything like that. Genius. Never will I will purchase one of these before I go back to the beach again.
So
I'm looking at this. I'm going to the beach in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This may end up in the Amazon
This is a
cart.
winner.
So we have a Sun Ninja, which is effectively the same thing you just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Niso that I'm looking at here has some kind of cord from the corners, and the Sun Ninja is just one big piece of fabric that's been cut into the shape. Same exact premise that you fill the corners up with sand. Don't buy a shibumi.
Okay. Good to hear.
So a shibumi is one where it's a big piece of fabric like nylon or some polyester or something, and there's an arch
I saw Shibumis.
and they wave in the wind.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like a flapping, I don't know. You can but you can hear them as they wave in the wind.
Yeah, that would get on my nerves.
And if it's not windy,
if there's no wind,
you're done, right? I mean, it won't
Correct.
stay.
right.
Oh, I've
inflated
seen
or
those.
whatever.
Yeah.
It depends on the wind to keep it.
to keep the back of it up because
make
it's only
shade.
supported on one side.
Right.
Yeah.
What
called
kind
a
of cost are
shibumi.
we talking for these things?
Well, so they come in different sizes.
Okay.
So at least the ones that I looked at for Sun Ninja, I think, there's a 2-person, 4-person, 8-person. And so I think you probably start around $100 or so, maybe,
Yeah,
but
I'm
then
seeing
probably
them
go
right
up
here,
to $200 or $300.
We got the extra. We got the biggest one they make. I think it's the extra large. It was maybe $120, something like that.
Okay, 2 questions about it. Well, actually, I think maybe just one. If you're up under it, do you get UV protection from it, or do you still sunburn sitting under it?
Got just a slight amount, but I think probably more than anything else, that was maybe coming off the sand or whatever.
Yeah.
It felt because hey, my goal is to come home.
Well,
with-
you're not
with
really
minimal-
burned.
right?
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt.
Of course,
from
that
my-
sun has a hard time getting through that hair on that body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like
But
built-in
I
sunscreen.
had my ball cap on,
Yeah.
and so I made it pretty well. So
netted ball cap though.
right. So get your Sun Ninja or your Niso, but not your Shibumi,
Don't do the shibumi.
and not related to the
Fun,
country singer Shabuzi.
no
Or
relation.
shaboy.
No relation.
Yeah.
Dumb name, useless product.
There we go.
Mm.
All right. Number 2. If anyone could ever develop a bed and pillows that could in a condo, like in a
Mhm.
beach condo, where they're adjustable. This may be my big idea. They're adjustable to whatever you have going on at home. I think you could charge an extra 0 on the end
So
of that
like
condo.
a sleep number bed or
So
something
like a
like
sleep
that?
number concept, but some way of
Recreate
basically
your home
I can
bed.
recreate your home bed.
How about dial a bed? Just
Because-
change the dial.
As much as anything else, the bed that we had made me want to come home.
Mm.
And it wasn't a terrible bed, but we have a good bed.
You're used to
We
you've
have a
become
good bed.
accustomed to a certain
don't you
lifestyle.
sleep in a hospital bed,
Exactly.
basically?
That's right.
Yeah.
And this was not a hospital bed. This was a little more of the box that the hospital bed came in.
And they made you walk to the bathroom too. You didn't have that little urinal cup.
That's right. And I've gotten used to that.
Or the remote control tethered to it.
The speaker right by your ear.
Or that remote that caused Millie to come give me water. All right. So
Well, that may be your Shark Tank idea, and you
Yeah.
can be workshopping
It's got
that.
possibilities.
Maybe you come up with something.
hey, next thing is, and maybe this is just because we don't stay in maybe the most elaborate places. I think I've told y'all on a previous podcast, when I set Millie off toward the purchase of a condo, it has to look like it doesn't smell, and it has to be cheap. And so
How does it look like it
that's
doesn't
a-
smell?
no, you know how it looks like it doesn't. You've seen things that look like they smell,
That is true.
right? But
That's a tall order. Cheap and doesn't smell.
my entire objective is when I open that door to that condo, if there's no like old smell or moldy smell or some kind of
Cigarettes.
smell that's going to make me cough all weekend, heaven forbid a cigarette smell,
Well, with y'all's respiratory problems, I mean, that could shut y'all down for
Absolutely.
a long time.
And so, so we opened the door, no smell, but every chair was designed as a torture device in that living room. The couch and the chairs, no bueno. It's like you don't have to pay a lot to just drop a recliner somewhere. I mean, give me something with a little cushion and some, a little leg support or whatever.
Yeah. That would keep you coming back. If you found the place with a good bed and good furniture to sit on, you'd get that same condo every year.
Exactly. So I need to petition the National Condominium Society.
That's the thing. More
comfortable furniture. The next one is, I believe we're on number 5. I'm afraid that this may be the vacation where the track is over. We didn't go to the track.
What track?
The go-kart track.
Oh,
the track.
I thought you meant the ponies.
I didn't know. I was like, Tim, do you have a problem?
That's right.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were laying. I didn't know if you were lying a trifecta out there at the track.
Put the one on the one that did his business right before
always pick the horse.
Main race of the night. So we were going on the last night, and Jonathan had a buddy down with him at the beach, and like I said, we had some other friends that were vacationing at the same time, and they were like, I think we're just gonna. They started acting like 16-year-olds,
teenagers,
right? And they were like, we're just going to walk on the beach and we're going to take our fishing poles and go fish a little bit. And,
oh, no.
And
that's the worst when they're the ones that kill it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, because I was ready to get in the car. And then we had we sort of had a group discussion. And it's like, well, what do you guys want to do? Hey, get the dump button ready.
Hold on.
So, I was getting ready to, drop at the track on go-kart points. And, but even the fact that I saved that money sort of hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yep.
And so, maybe it's a passage of time. Maybe the track will come back next time, but.
Well, if it's the last one, I'm honored to have been at the last one last year.
You were.
Because we happened to be at the beach at the same time.
That's right.
And we went.
We did the track night together. We sure did.
Well, Tim
smeared Jonathan all over that track.
If you want to go to the track, you and Millie just go to the track.
Yeah,
you could have just gone by yourself.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I was going to ride. I just
you were just
go and watch.
Okay, sorry, I was confused.
There was always this thing where Jonathan was so competitive when he would get in, he would he'd give me the hand signals of how many people he had passed so far.
Oh,
or whatever,
yeah.
Should hurts my feelings.
Hopefully, as he's learning to drive, though, he'll keep those hands on the steering wheel.
There will be other times.
Yeah, I know there'll be a lot of other things. Yeah. All right.
Or 5 and 7.
The next is I'm going to do a little commercial here, and I hope that someone who maybe is an owner of this establishment, if they're also a passenger, especially when we go global soon, they might want to do a commercial.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Eating at a restaurant down there is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
We just couldn't find anything that wasn't like you order the cheapest thing on the menu and get the dump button ready. And it cost so but I think I've told y'all before, we go to the seafood market in Gulf Shores Seafood Market, and they do Low Country Boil. It was the best meal we had, the most food, and they do it 2 for $25. I'm like, surely they're going to change that.
Wow,
that's real good.
That's impressive.
We got 2 of those, and we had 3 people eating that meal, nothing else. That meal, we had food left over, and 4 could have eaten easily off of it. And I was hungry and I was eating like I wanted to.
Well, you're at the beach.
Right.
You're supposed to eat.
And so, and so it was the best deal, the best food, and the most food that we got for our money the whole time we were down there. And hopefully there'll be a sponsor of Passages in the future. The next one is, and I'm almost done. The next one is, I like to look at the sand on Gulf Shores beaches. I hate to walk in it. The powdery sand of Gulf Shores beaches, when I'm not sure what level of the crust of the inside of the earth I sunk to in each step that I took in that sand. But, you know, it's like, where did my kneecap go? And, you know, and so if you're doing that, by the time you get to your Sun Ninja and the place that you're going to sit down, I mean, you need CPR.
And the sand, though, at least though it's deep, it's cool, right? It's not hot at all.
Hotter than the surface of the sun.
So not only are you knee deep, but you're burning.
Oh, my toesies, because you know you kicked those off at the end of the boardwalk.
Well, you have to, yeah.
And now
that's where I get new shoes.
You're hoofing it out. Let me get back to shoes in a second. So the powdery sand wears me out. It may force me to go to the beaches of the Atlantic where they're sort of firm.
They're awful.
I know they're awful, but you can walk on them.
You can't. You can drive on them. Hey,
So-
Tim, I'm picturing your Shark Tank design. Sand shoes. You take snowshoes, but you make sand shoes.
Man, wouldn't I be a sight for sore eyes out there
Walking
on
out
the
there with
beach?
those big
Just be selling
with
them.
those tennis
I think
rackets.
At
you
the end of
should
that
bungee
boardwalk,
cord a
you set
couple
up
of
a-
tennis rackets to your feet next time you're down there
and
as
give it a go.
a early test. Yeah.
Set up a little kiosk down there at the boardwalk.
An alpha version of the product.
Even some paddleball paddles, because I know you got at least one set and we're not using them.
Speaking
Pickleball paddles.
That's right.
Yeah, that requires exercise, and I don't exercise anymore.
Oh, but as
Tim.
soon as we rebuild the school and then finish those pickleball courts, I'm in with you guys.
I'm
All right.
No, you're not?
I'll do
Okay,
it.
forget that.
I'll do it.
Are you in, Drew?
Yeah.
All right.
How long we
If
been
Drew's
waiting?
in, I'm in, because I know I can take
I
Drew.
never played with y'all last go, so I've never played pickleball before.
Okay.
I'm
I'm
the
in.
confidence booster.
All right.
I'm the
How-
guy.
how long have
I
we
was
been-
just saying
beat.
that to be mean. I'm sorry.
How long have we been waiting on these pickleball courts?
It's been a minute.
It's been a while,
I
hasn't
think
it?
since 1764, I believe.
I think every community in Alabama has one except for us.
So speaking of the shoes,
We have a Buc-ee's, though.
that you kick off on the way to the beach.
Mhm.
I hate flip flops. I hate
I
flip
can't-
flops. I
can't make
can't
'em
do the
work.
flip flop.
You mean the
thing.
toe thong?
And so
Can't stand it.
and so what I have a similar relationship with water shoes, you know, or whatever you call those things. I don't know what you call them, but
Those slip-on
Yeah.
things.
but I have.
Please tell me you don't wear water shoes down there.
Well, I tried them one day,
Okay, and then you
and
you
it
put 'em
looked
back.
like my foot was trying to explode out of the
Next
water
week.
shoes.
Next week, can you wear your water shoes for the podcast?
Absolutely.
I just want to see you in
I'll
some
just
water
wear them to
shoes.
church and
That-
then the podcast.
That'd be perfect.
So,
Picture of Tim
take a
in water
note.
shoes.
Water shoes.
Take a note. Action on for next week. Water shoes. So I ended up just taking my Sperry's down there,
Mhm.
and I've got them on tonight.
Big surprise there.
And
Tim's wearing Sperry's. Whoa.
His foot's not hanging out of these though.
I've
They're
got
only
them on
12
tonight.
years old.
And I'll tell you right now, I'm rolling around some sand in these shoes because I can't get the sand out of
It's
them.
like glitter. You cannot get
That
rid
must
of
have
it.
been why your shoes were untied during services. I
Might
looked
have
at
been.
I looked at you while you're up there giving announcements, and the footwear was a mess tonight.
Sorry.
That's
sorry.
all right. Nobody could see it but me.
All right, let me give you last three. Here we go. Number 8. Don't ever drive in or out of Gulf Shores on Alabama Highway 59. I drove in on 59. Take the Beach Expressway. And what I learned on the way out is you don't have to go all the way up to Foley to jump on the Beach Expressway, right? About 3 miles out of town, you hop over across like where the new Gulf Shores High School is, and then up you go up the Beach Parkway. On the way in, we spent an eternity trying to get into town, sitting at red lights. I've learned my lesson. Beach Parkway it is. Number 9, you cannot go to church in anywhere in the world and not find either somebody you know or a connection to somebody you know.
Yeah.
So we were sitting at church on Sunday morning, and this lady, nice lady, goes to church there, walks up, introduces herself, and she says, "Where are y'all from?" And we're from Leeds. And she said, I used to live in Anniston. I was like, "Oh, really? We grew up in Munford." And she said, "Oh, I was the first kindergarten teacher ever at the elementary school in Munford." I'm like, you're Debbie Williams. And so she was a lady who had taught with my mom for a bunch of years, not seen her in like 45 years. So clearly she looked a little different than the last time I saw her. But, it was just weird, right?
That's crazy.
She walked up, introduced herself to us. So we talked to her during, before church and then afterwards. And so it just, it drives home. That doesn't always happen. But if you talk to 2 or 3 or 4 people at church, you're going to find a common thread if you go to church, no matter where you go.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty interesting. My last one, number 10, I miss Hardee's. There was a Hardee's at the beach.
But it was just a Hardee's, not a Hardee's red burrito.
It was just a Hardee's that stays open until 2:00 in the afternoon and shuts her down. They are there for breakfast.
Yeah. Which was
anymore.
always their strongest thing.
It was still there. And I miss Hardee's because I ate there 3 times.
I see. I thought you were saying you went down there and the Hardee's had closed. You're saying you found a Hardee's down there.
I found it down there and I enjoyed it.
Hardee's, if you would like to sponsor Passages, reach out to us. Passages_podcast.
We'll take Hardee's, Carl Jr.'s, Red Burrito, any of your variations. We'll accept any of you as sponsors. But we really want to go with Hardee's and your breakfast biscuits that you will supply to us for each of the episodes of Passages. All right, there's my list. It's good to be back from the beach.
Well, last week we wanted to talk about Vacation Bible School because it was our episode after VBS, but we couldn't do it without you. So we thought we would go down memory lane.
I like it.
On Vacation Bible School just for a few minutes. And I don't know where to start because we have such a rich history here. Here's one thought that I had. The first time I saw PowerPoint used effectively was Tim using it to teach the kids songs at our Vacation Bible School. And you'd borrow a project. This is funny to me because today everybody's set up. You borrow a projector from work and bring it in. And everybody's like, wow, what is this fascinating sci-fi technology that is in the room? Still using some of the same slides from back then.
There are still. Actually, we have an effort afoot between now and next year to do some remodeling of the slides. One of the young ladies at church is going to do a project to restructure them. Now, we'll have to decide, do we have to have like retro night or something, where we go back to the old slides? But we're going to look at some updating. But yes, some of those slides go back to 1997.
Wow.
And I remember creating some of them. I was sitting in the hospital room with my mom and, she was going through cancer surgery and things like that. And I was making like this little light of mine. And you can tell when you look at some of those slides, some of them, the graphics are clearly
clip art,
old clip art.
Yeah.
Super old clip art. Right. And so it goes way back. You mentioned that the PowerPoint, the projector. Right. And so I had this. Every year I would take the projector and I would sort of stow it under my desk at work. And then it was like, midnight requisition. I'd, sort of sneak it out of the building and, bring it. And I think, to begin with, I'd take it back to work every day in case somebody needed it, and then bring it back at night or whatever. But the very first time I ever did it, and I think I've told Patrick about this, it wasn't even that projector. What it was, we had something at work it was basically a sort of a thick square or rectangle, and it was a clear in the middle of it. It had a clear center. You hooked it up to your laptop, and it created basically a clear version of whatever was on your screen. You set it on top of an overhead projector, and it projected that thing up. That's
crazy.
Thing up through and out through the lens of the overhead projector.
It was like an LCD screen without the backlight.
Exactly.
Just the screen part. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, and it oriented it however it needed to. If you needed to, I guess it was just normal orientation. I don't remember, but But that was the very first version. You talk about dim. It was so dim.
Mm-hmm.
And so like every iteration you were like, wow, this is so much better and so much brighter. And, it's probably still terrible or whatever. And then finally we started getting, the screens and the projectors up and everything. And, we moved into, the current stuff.
Literally moved into the 21st century.
It had a long history though. And
I have a question. I have a couple of questions. Tim, when I think of VBS, I now think Tim Layton, because that's
like it or not,
20 years. That's what I remember.
You define Vacation Bible School.
At least for me, and you blew away anything I'd ever experienced. You've led a lot of VBS songs. What's your favorite VBS song? What's your least favorite VBS song?
Okay. My favorite VBS song, Good Old Noah.
It's a great one.
I mean, it's just, we
interactive.
We have fun with it. The kids get to come up and be a part of it. And,
I did see it cause you a mini stroke one year though. We almost lost him one year over Good Old Noah. Was it Good Old Noah?
Oh, no, not How My Name's Noah, and certainly not Father Abraham.
Okay.
Ugh.
Right.
Good Old Noah is where you call out the animal noises.
Patrick hates Father Abraham.
Father Abraham is my number one least
I'm
favorite
sorry,
VBS song.
you're doing the animal sounds.
Right.
No, yeah.
Father Abraham, I think, is the one that my face turned so red, and I thought I was going to die that night.
I meant to bring some animals.
The lights started getting dim, and at the end of it, immediately Jason's walking toward me, and he's like, "Dude, we got to go back to the gym."
We killed it for about 6 months, and then we dropped it again.
That's right.
Every year I threaten to just skip that when it comes up in the slides.
All right, so least favorite.
Least favorite. Father Abraham's one that we only do one time a week. So I think I'm with
that's
Patrick.
a good call. Yeah. That one's an exhausting song.
We do How My Name's Noah, which is basically Father Abraham.
That's my second
but a
least favorite.
little bit different. I have a lot of fun with If You're Happy and You Know It, because we just do different stuff and it's fun and the kids love it.
Yeah.
I told Eli this year, there's always this fine line, and I'm going to let you go back to your other question in a second, but there's always this fine line every year when you think you've whipped the kids into a frenzy too far, and you're afraid that like they're either going to burn the building down or they're going to attack you and pull you limb from limb.
And we got there this year. Multiple times.
And it was that night when I told Eli, I'm like, you got to, this is the deal. This happens every year, and you got to figure out how to bring them back down, and so there's a little bit of an art to that. And you got to be careful, right? Because you like for them to have a good time and enjoy it and be excited only to a certain level. And then like hysteria kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
We almost lost Booster this year.
Yeah.
That,
only in his second year of appearances,
he did.
We almost lost Booster this year.
Right. The Booster Chicken, who I love, and has been a recent addition to Booster. He almost
got.
Yeah. All right. Your other question.
All right, this is for everybody. Funniest memory from VBS.
I think
there is a lot of them.
I think Jason and I probably share the same funniest.
Let me skip to what
be thinking of
this
the
is
same
one
thing.
thing you've learned from VBS, and I didn't know I would learn this at VBS, but I learned some math facts from VBS that indeed 7 will go into 2, and I never knew that before VBS ever. And I learned that during the 27 Club being introduced. And I have, just for the sake of history, preserved the picture that created this math fact.
Oh, no.
It's the greatest, funniest memory I have of VBS, and it had nothing to do with VBS. It happened after VBS in the control room. And I know there are 3 of us in this room that were present when we figured out what it was.
You need to hit the video room button.
And it was the greatest. I don't know that I have ever laughed as hard before or since we laughed that night. I thought Tim Layton was going to explode. He turned every shade of red and he was sweating.
Our listeners are confused, so let me put it this way. There was a picture.
Wait.
How would you put it?
Hold on, Drew. We need a moment of silence so that we can clear the
Gather my
airways.
thoughts here. It's a picture that was unintentionally awkward. Let's say that.
And had been on a slide for maybe 20 years.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you finally found the
And they
the
called me
error.
into that room. They called me into that room that night, and they said, "What's 7 doing to 10?"
And Tim said, "What do you mean?" We were like, "Look."
And this was the point where I was in full VBS mode, right? So, it was like a high stress moment or whatever.
You weren't in the mood for
right?
jokes.
And they were like, and I was like,
Maybe we should take that slide out, Tim.
I cannot believe that after all these years, I never saw what's happening.
Well,
there.
I'm telling you, I can be having
Your
the
thoughts
worst.
are a little more elevated than these two.
I can be having the
Knuckleheads.
worst day, and I can go back and pull that picture up, and my day totally changes. That was one of my all-time favorites, and we had one with Castaway Jay. Do you remember Castaway
No,
Jay? It was Barton.
will never forget.
Absolutely.
Well,
Castaway Jay.
And you went out and filmed vignettes.
Yes,
Yeah,
I filmed at Lake Purdy.
Yeah.
on the banks of the lake. Castaway Jay going through a period of depression and getting angry at his Wilson. The Castaway movie had been big with Tom Hanks, and he had a Wilson character. The ball that keeps Tom Hanks company on the.
but it wasn't it
Stranded down.
Spalding?
It was a Spalding, yeah.
I think he called it
He
Spalding.
called it Spalding. And there's one picture that we got where Barton as Castaway Jay had kicked Spalding, and we caught it in midair. And that was great. That was great.
If I remember, that one also had a parrot that would try to fly from
Yes.
the back of the church building down to the front. The idea was to bring the question of the night from the back to the front
Like on like a string or
on
something.
like a zip line,
yeah.
and
It was
The
a
parrot
zip
would
line.
carry the question.
it
Was
didn't
the
really work.
Thought.
Didn't work very well. And
Didn't work very well. Didn't look an awful lot like a parrot.
no, and we'll leave it nameless.
One of the kids.
Let's just
did
say
that.
it was rainbow colored, and
Leave it at that.
leave it at that.
My. Are we picking favorite or funniest?
Either.
What's the question?
Either. Let's just
Funniest for me.
I said funniest.
Funniest for me was an early one. And it's when one of the deacons came out in a very short bathrobe. We didn't have our costume collection quite at the volume it is now. I saw the kids picking through which robe would they wear for the skit. We had maybe a couple of bed sheets and apparently a child's bathrobe. And most people will wear, they got that. They'll wear a pair of jeans or something, but I don't think he had on anything.
I'm not sure.
He answered the question, boxers or briefs.
Yes.
Because that was a lot of thigh.
Very
for
briefs.
BBs. But he was out there answering. That was when
And
we had the special visitor come and answer some
Yeah.
questions
And do I remember that at some point did he sit down? I mean,
and cross his legs.
I'm afraid he did. It was like, and these were during days when we were always sort of afraid we were going to get in trouble about doing something at
Yeah.
Vacation Bible School. It's like, this was young
You'd
Tim,
been told to
and it was like
tamp it down a
tamp
couple
it
times.
down.
There was a couple meetings.
I got called to the carpet for putting so many staples in the walls.
Yes.
That was circa 2012.
I believe that
10.
involved Jason and one of our passengers.
Yeah, Raymond, you know who you are.
Took a few chunks out of this hallway right outside
Well, they
this room
told
right
us
here.
to make it a cave, and you got to cover the walls from top to bottom to have a cave. I can remember a specific person saying, Guys, let's try not to use the electric staplers out here in the hallway. You can put those things up quick, though. Boom, boom, boom.
It's like roofers.
This was a Saturday before Vacation Bible School. Choom, 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 choom.
Yeah, we used to decorate the
an
whole
hour and a
building
half.
in one day.
Yep.
And now we take a couple weeks to
Hey, we
put
wrapped
things
the
together.
hallways in paper multiple times early on.
A lot of
In
times
the early 2000s.
we would do the black light thing, right?
Yeah.
And so we'd do it like the black paper and then fluorescent stuff on the walls or whatever. There was some pretty elaborate stuff that was done along the way.
I miss the construction projects. We haven't done those in a few years.
Oh,
I think back to the time machine
the
one.
time machine, I had it on my list. That was awesome.
I found a picture of it today just to look at it. It's
Easily the
spectacular.
best front of house
So good.
we've ever made.
It smoked.
It had moving parts.
Had a fan that turned lights.
Oh man, it
Yeah.
was good.
We wrapped it in aluminum foil. It had LEDs all over
I want
it.
to say that was Andrew Kingsley's, maybe his first year here, first or second year. It was early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lumber involved.
Yeah, we used to go buy. I don't know. We kept the 2x4s in business back then.
Yeah. We rebuilt some things. We had a lot of those 2x4s back in the air
Oh, yeah, we
conditioner
tear 'em
room.
down.
We tear them down and rebuild again or whatever.
And did we have plans for these things? No.
No,
It was
no.
just like, let's just
We
start
came up
and
with
see
it on
what
the
we
fly.
came up. And it was awesome.
yeah.
Tim,
I like
do you-
that one.
Do you remember when I did Lazarus one year
Oh,
and
yes,
scared some
brother.
little kids?
I do. I've got a picture. I've got a picture of that one. Absolutely.
Was it toilet paper or just wrapped a bunch of toilet? Did a
I think it was a
mummy
combination.
costume.
There was. I think there were like some white pants involved or something, and maybe a t-shirt. But then a lot of the wrapping of toilet paper. I think.
My favorite character I ever played was Cannonball Carl.
Oh man.
played
Yeah, we got to
some
talk
great ones.
character. So let's
I love
segue
me some
into characters. here.
Cannonball Carl. That was
Well, that involved the ingenious stunt where we actually pulled off a special effects.
of shooting me across the auditorium.
I am still not sure that Jonathan Layton doesn't believe that that Cannonball Carl was shot across the building for years. He'd be like, "Dad, how did y'all do that?"
Let me tell you, a very sweaty Cannonball Carl ran around the building in the summer heat to get to the back very quickly.
But it was like a magic trick.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
awesome.
We created a
Sleight of hand.
created a distraction up front or whatever, and all the kids. There was smoke as we
And a
as we
loud
shot it
bang.
off or whatever,
Yeah.
and a loud bang, and then all of a sudden he appeared in the
He was
back.
in the back.
And it was like, we brought the house
Oh, yeah.
down.
That
We
was one of those
killed
days
it.
we nearly lost the crowd.
Yeah.
Back when the windows were blue.
Yeah,
Couldn't see
you could
through 'em.
run. You could run around the edge without being seen.
You had made it when kids would dress up as some of this stuff. So Jonathan, he had, he always liked to wear costumes when he was a little kid or whatever. And he came in one day, and he had on gloves and a football helmet and whatever. He was Cannonball Carl,
And let me tell you, it's amazing when you squeeze into a really too small for you pair of red sweatpants and a red sweatshirt and tie a black tablecloth around your neck, how you can transform into a circus act.
Now, I think it was also that same Vacation Bible School that we did the Saturday thing before, because I was looking through before this year's Vacation Bible School, I was looking through some pictures, and we had a big, right outside this window.
You fought Goliath or somebody
exactly.
out there. Yeah.
Right. And so we had a big flatbed, and we had stuff going on in the games and stuff out in the parking lot. And then we had a presentation, right? A skit.
It's almost like a Shakespeare festival. It was that quality.
It was one of my finest performances.
It was great.
I played David, and Tom Greenway was Goliath.
Uh-huh.
And,
It is Goliath. That dude's huge.
Yeah,
He's
it was a
huge.
good choice for Goliath.
Yeah.
Huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
He didn't win the battle that day, my friend.
Well, as was foretold.
Wow.
We've had a lot of different youth guys here that had some memorable performances. So
We've already talked about Castaway
we
Jay.
talked about Barton as Castaway Jay. I go through the list. Neil was next.
Oh,
Wade went a lot.
Wade went a lot.
the game
Pinstripe
show
suit.
host.
And
Right.
Mackenzie played one of the most despised characters of
one
all
of the most
time.
polarizing figures in Vacation
He
Bible
was a
School history.
professor,
Professor, yeah.
and he could make those kids so angry.
Yeah.
They were so mad at him because he was like the smart aleck and
Taunt them.
Oh, he had the glasses with tape. I mean, he was in full nerd mode.
Now, I think it was in that vacation
Which was
Bible
not a
school.
far
You were
step.
the coach.
Coach Armstrong.
Yeah,
And that's
you would
when
do
you were doing
push-ups.
push-ups up there.
Yeah.
I mean, that was,
McKenzie made you the hero.
That's right. The kids loved me.
Was there a third contestant in that game show thing?
there was.
I can't remember. Who
It was a kid.
It was a
We'd get a
kid.
kid out of the
Oh,
audience.
I remember
that's
Kyle
fun.
Wilkerson being
Yeah,
one of them.
we'd get one of
Yeah,
the
that's
kids.
great.
Yeah, there'd be a kid that we brought up each night or whatever. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
One that I really liked that Jason was involved in. This was with Hunter, I think. Might have been Hunter's first year. Y'all did experiments of some sort every night. Do you remember that? Y'all were like two scientists or something.
I really don't remember that.
Yeah, and y'all did. It was really cool because it was some kind of experiment that the kids could see. It was down front,
Was that?
and
We had some kind of water thing up there one night. No, I'm not. I'm thinking of something.
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
yeah, that was a good one. I like that.
Man,
You
there've been so many.
You mentioned the shorts, the short bathrobe episode. The other one that I wanted to mention involved one of our, let's say, one of the most fit deacons of all time, a guy who
Nathan.
also was known by the name the Animal.
oh, yeah.
yeah.
And so he had a role one year of a Roman centurion. And
Perfect casting.
I am not sure that the ladies of our congregation have gotten over it yet, because the Animal was looking fine.
Yeah. He's Italian too, so perfect for a Roman centurion.
And so
Oh wow.
that one was a memorable one. And
I don't remember
we,
that one.
we cannot talk about Vacation Bible School and old history and not talk about Bannerman.
Right. I was going to bring up
Hey, the
Bannerman.
Bannerman costume, I'm pretty sure is still under the bathroom counter in there.
That's sad.
I'm almost certain
It
it is.
deserves.
It needs to be on the wall
It deserves
somewhere.
a more prominent location. Definitely.
Bannerman, he had a lot of adventures here,
He
but
did.
none surpassed his ascension over the baptistry.
That's right. And yet, that was early Tim, afraid he was going to get in trouble. The way that I ensured that I would not get in trouble in this circumstance was I involved an elder.
Yes.
And so, you begin to learn, how can I get in trouble if an elder's
I had
involved in
permission.
this, right? The only person who's going to get in trouble is him with
And
the
not,
other
not
elders,
only
right?
an elder, but the elder that would later get onto me for putting staples into the wall. So it was a good move. It was a very good move.
So we were kicking, one of the fun things about Vacation Bible School every year that I always loved so much was it was like the Saturday thing of building something. People would get so creative, right? You just sort of give people an idea and you let them take it and see what they can do with it. And so if you have like 40 people doing that, what ends up being created at the end is amazing. And so during the week, there would always be people that would say, what if we did so-and-so? That's what happened with the chicken costume. I think Patrick and somebody were talking about it, and they ordered it on Amazon, and it was here before the end of the week, and there were always things like that going on. And so we were talking about, so Bannerman was an invention that I stole from my brother-in-law's church when he was at Bediview in Oxford, and they had a character, and basically we sort of adapted it and made it our own. We literally had kids here at Vacation Bible School that had Bannerman on their birthday cake during the year. It was
awesome.
It was the best. And so Bannerman, he ran his gamut and
unfortunately, the Bandit kind of
Ninja.
killed it.
I think it sort
Was
of
it
killed
Bandit or
It-
was it Ninja?
It was Banner Bandit.
Banner Bandit.
Yeah.
But he looked like a ninja.
Yeah, he looked like a ninja.
That
And-
was not an authorized character, right?
It
That
really
that
was
surprised
not.
you, didn't it?
It surprised me, and I believe in the Hollywood vernacular, that's when we jumped the shark.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was it.
That's
I'm pretty sure that Bannerman went away after
But
that.
we
he
got
retired.
to tell the story, of the appearance of Bannerman. So Bannerman would typically each night come in from the back of the auditorium. He would have the banners, right? So we used to, a common thing in Vacation Bible School in the 1990s, you had a banner for biggest class and most visitors, who did, and we, a big part of what we did was memory work, right? And so, which class did the most memory work tonight? And so we'd have these banners, and, then we'd have, I remember one time we had one that was give them a hand, and it literally was like an arm and a hand, and we would give it to them for some reason we would make up every night.
Not literally.
It literally
wasn't a human
It was a human arm.
Yeah.
We severed it from a corpse.
Yeah, Kilgore had some strange open caskets.
So Bannerman would come in from the back, and we were like, what if this was back during the days that in order to do the slides up front, we didn't have the screens on the side or the TVs that we have now. We had a giant pull down
Projector screen.
Yeah. And we would project, we'd sit it on the communion table, the projector, and project up, move the podium out of the way. And so we said, what if Bannerman appeared from behind the screen? So Jim was involved in that, came up with the door that was back there that didn't have a use. We put the door across the baptistry, and we were singing a song, and there was the rustling behind you see the screen sort of moving. Kids, what's going on back here? And so we go up and pull the thing down, and in full stretched out glory, as it goes up, there's Bannerman with the bandits. And that was probably the part of that Vacation Bible School when we whipped the kids into a frenzy.
There's Bannerman with the
banners. He
with
said
the
banners.
He said bandits.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was like, okay.
All right.
I didn't remember the bandits being out there. The banners. Yeah. That was really effective. The kids just loved that. Well, we can talk about VBS all night, but we got other things we want to cover, don't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to tell a little story that I read today about a singer's teeth falling out, but I've decided to skip that because I had a discussion tonight that definitely preempts the singer story. Guys, I actually met and talked with and withstood to the face a handkerchief user tonight.
Oh, my.
So I was having a discussion, and the handkerchief idea came up. In fact, this person approached me and said, do you have a comb? And he was wanting to make fun of the fact that I don't have hair and that I don't need a comb. And I said, well, do you? And he said, I carry one with me and a handkerchief, which opened the door to the handkerchief discussion. And I said, so tell me. And his wife was standing there, so this was even better. I said, you take this out of your pocket, right? You unfold it, and you basically go to the bathroom out of your nose on it. I mean, that's essentially what happens, right? I cleaned it up from what I really said to it.
Go to the bathroom
But
from your
you
nose.
blow your nose in it. You're excreting things from your nose. It's basically your nose just went to the bathroom in this piece of cloth. And I said, you fold it back up, and where do you put it? Well, I put it back in my pocket. I was like, that's disgusting. Who washes this? And his wife said, oh, I wash them, and they're disgusting. And so I told him that it was time to move into, what century are we in, guys? 21st. The 21st century, and get rid of the hanky rag that was disgusting. And then we had a discussion about fold and wide and the just how gross it gets. I don't think I won him over, though. I think he is set on using a booger rag.
It did appear that his wife was on your side, though.
Yeah.
This
I
hanky
think that's the
discussion is
problem.
polarizing.
The men carry them.
Mm-hmm.
I see very few women. Now, my wife told me that I think it was her great grandmother used to keep one under her watch or something so that if she needed it, if she was
She got the
perspiring or something.
Sweat's a whole
I believe I've got a touch of the vapors.
Oh, heavens to Mugatoid. I have got the vapors.
Sweat's a whole different story, though.
Yeah,
Well,
but when you're you're cleaning out the contents of your nose
Yes.
into a rag, it should go in the garbage every time.
Yes.
After you've looked at it, then it goes in the garbage.
I went this hanky thing is.
I got to see what came
you gotta
out.
check
stirred
on
up
Make sure
a
your
lot.
brains
Do
didn't
I have
come
an
out.
infection? I mean,
Yeah.
you got to check.
I went to a bluegrass festival with my dad and brothers this past weekend, and it was hot outside. And I was sitting down next to Dad. Dad pulls a bandana out of his pocket, and he just looks at me.
Say something, boy.
And he mops the sweat off his face, and he said, "I've been meaning to talk to you about this hanky." And I was like, "Well," I said, we got to come up with content, and sometimes I got to go with what's on my mind. He said, "What do you do when you're sweating?"
Sweat's a
I
different.
use my
Sweat's a-
sleeve.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, first of all, that's a bandana. That's not a hanky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there is a difference.
And you didn't blow your nose in it.
right.
I mean, wiping your forehead off is a whole different story.
and
than,
we covered that, right?
Yeah.
We did.
You were talking about your dad using it for his hands.
Yeah.
And we might have leaned toward the cons more than the pros, but there are some legitimate uses for the hanky / bandana, but
I don't
snot
think so.
is not one of them.
Yeah, I
You
have
know
no,
how I
have
keep-
no problem
I
with
put
a
the hat on.
sweat-covered bandana being thrown into the wash to be used.
Yeah, it's like my
again.
sweat-covered shirt after I've been
Absolutely.
working outside
If
all
I'd
day.
been out at that
Well,
festival, everything
he-
I had would have been sweat-covered.
Now,
but
Dad's
I
not
don't,
here to defend
I
himself.
don't blow my nose on my shirt, though.
Well, he said, "What do you do when you got to blow your nose and you're working in the yard?"
Oh, snot
And I-
rocket.
Yeah.
I said,
rocket.
"You
That's what
plug-
everybody
plug-
does.
I said, Dad, we went over it on the
Snot
podcast.
rocket.
Plug one nostril
Yeah.
and blow it out
Let it
the
go.
other." He said, "What do you do then?"
What do you mean?
Well,
Well, you run that tongue up into your mustache, don't you?
he
No,
He got me there.
Oh, I'm embarrassed.
'Cause, I said, "Well, I might have to tidy up a little with my shirt." Till he goes, "Is that worse? Is that not worse than using a hanky?"
no,
No.
No.
no. You know what I do?
So I'm going to go inside and take these clothes off as soon as I get
I
through
go out
mowing
to the
grass.
sycamore tree and get me a sycamore leaf, wipe my nose off, throw it out into nature.
Sycamore. Just specifically a sycamore.
Well, have you seen their leaves?
Okay.
They're
Looking
huge.
for the Lord? Or?
They're huge,
Huge.
huge.
Zacchaeus,
That's what I do.
you come down from there
And bring me a
from
leaf.
blowing my nose today.
Daddy's nose is stopped up. But anyway, I had a conversation with an actual hanky user, and
I'm telling you, we're making some people mad with this hanky stuff.
well, we need some polarizing stuff on this show.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of my brothers told me. He said, "Y'all don't disagree enough, so we're creating conflict,
Yeah,
which
but
will
on
draw
this,
more
we all agree.
listeners." Yeah.
Handkerchiefs are gross,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
disagreeing with some passengers.
and bandana does not equal
Well,
a hanky.
unless you blow your nose into it,
Now, if you do,
Then it's a hanky.
then it
it's a
becomes a
hanky,
hanky.
And you shouldn't rob a convenience store with it either. as a
Correct.
mask.
Yep.
Those are two things you shouldn't do with the bandana.
All right. So, have we ever had a triple segment? Because I think I have a triple segment tonight.
I don't know what that
segment.
is.
I don't even know what that
I have a
means.
conspiracy theory,
Oh,
a
hang
grinds my gears, and tool time,
All right.
all mixed into one.
Hit them all.
Oh, it's all in
hang
one.
on.
All
Hit
right.
'em
Yeah.
all.
You know what really grinds my gears?
That's awesome.
on. That,
Y'all didn't know it could do that.
I didn't
did
know
you?
it would play over
Awesome.
itself.
and I'm ready.
Well, Jason,
I
I
feel
have
this
a
way
little bit
tonight.
of a bone to pick with you.
Oh dear.
Oh, wow.
What did I do?
As you know, we have had a very wet spring,
Very wet.
very wet,
Mm-hmm.
the wettest.
Yes.
It has rained quite possibly more than Seattle gets in a year in a few short months.
I saw ducks protesting against rain this week.
But here, Jason, I fear you brought this heat dome upon us because last week the rain stopped inexplicably, just went away. No more rain. We haven't had rain in nearly a week now.
Well, Patrick, the prayers of a righteous man availeth much.
I think that what happened here is you said a few too many things about our dear James Spann. And he went on vacation last week on Wednesday. When did it stop raining?
You know, I noticed we hadn't cut into our normal broadcast for a cloud.
you know when it stopped raining? Last Thursday when he went on vacation. So clearly the guy who controls the weather is mad at us because of the way you talk about him.
Also, coinciding with that, bears started running amok in the area.
So
There are bears everywhere now.
Is the Waffle House bear back?
Because it stopped raining?
I'm wondering if it has something to do with James Spann leaving town.
That thing is like flash, like strobing me with the tinfoil hat.
Does it work?
Okay, so here's the bone I have to pick with you.
Okay.
First of all, thank you very much for letting me borrow your trailer.
Oh, you're welcome.
It helped a lot. Now here's the bone that I got to pick with you. I have been extending my driveway with pavers, and I started on Friday night in the heat, and
You're
all
welcome.
day Saturday,
And you had dry days to work. You're welcome.
all day Saturday, and most of the day Sunday.
Mhm.
I think I have never in my life been more dehydrated, and I blame you.
Well, you know, you could drink water. I mean,
Oh, I
it's-
drank a lot of water.
It's not hard.
I drank a lot of water.
Okay, did you drink bottled water or did you go hose pipe water? Because when you're doing that kind of work, you got to go hose pipe water.
I didn't do hose pipe water because
Oh, you're not a man
we have
Probably
one of
carry a
those like
handkerchief.
things on the end of it that it wouldn't be real comfortable to
Well,
drink
you
from.
can unscrew those
I
things.
could, but
Yeah.
look,
Fire hose yourself.
carrying 935 pavers, my hands didn't work real well.
They're more like
they were
claws.
kind of done.
They work like Tim's hands,
Yeah.
is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yep.
So my conspiracy theory is you made James Spann leave, and we're paying with our lives.
If I could do that more often, we could watch normal
Hey,
broadcasting.
stop that. We've said on multiple occasions the views of passages and
I'm
Jason's
just
personal
saying,
views about James Spann
Not the same
do
thing.
not
If I
align.
could get my job right 50% of the time and make what he makes, I'd probably be a little more forgiving.
Wow.
Oh, me.
Mm-mm.
It's probably going to be 120 next week.
Yeah, I know. We're turning into literal desert.
It's 120 underneath his hat.
Yeah, it's time to take it off. Also, my eyes, I may have to come get them checked now. They've been strobed so much. All right, Drew.
Yeah, I got a story here submitted by passenger Andy Kaiser, my dad.
All right.
I thought this was
Was this
kinda
before
funny.
or after he got on to you about the hankies?
before.
Before, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's still listening though. In early 2025, that's this year, as of this
Oh,
recording.
wait. This is a Critter
This is
Chronicle.
Critter Chronicle. Yeah.
Hold on.
I should have given you
Yeah.
a heads up on that.
Wait for it. I'm looking for the
Okay.
one labeled Critter Chronicle.
In
So
Is that what it's
real
called?
fast.
No, it's called
Cri-
Craig. There it is.
One of these days
Critter
I'll learn the
Chronicles.
soundboard.
That was smooth.
In early 2025, a family of beavers constructed a series of dams
Darn.
that restored a wetland and this is in the Czech Republic. So I think this is called the Birdie Protected Landscape Area. But Birdie is a word with no vowels, of course,
What?
because we're in the Czech Republic. BRDY.
Was Pat Sajak not there? They couldn't buy a vowel.
I guess not.
Hmm,
Their
interesting.
activity coincided with a government project initially proposed in 2018 to address environmental degradation in the region. The government's project was delayed as a result of bureaucratic and financial issues. Of course, that's how the government always works. The beaver-built dams provided ecological benefits, including improved water quality, enhanced biodiversity, and better water retention, also while saving the Czech government approximately $1.2 million. So, in summary, what happened is the military over there had drained a wetland and caused a lot of environmental destruction. And so the government started talking about how are we going to restore the wetlands. And while they were doing all their bureaucratic, time-wasting efforts, the beavers
Government?
got busy and fixed it
The
and
beavers
saved them over $1
stepped in.
million.
Was it Bucky?
Was.
He went over there.
Bucky is for
Clearly
Birdie.
it was Bucky.
Yeah.
He went over there and
Wait, because
Assembled a team.
Birdie doesn't have any vowels. Bucky got
Has-
all the vowels.
Has extra. Yeah.
yeah.
the beavers used wood, mud, and stones to create structures that slowed water drainage and restored the wetland environment. Experts noted that beavers are instinctive engineers capable of altering landscapes to support water retention and biodiversity.
Oh, this was recently.
This
did you
just
say
happened.
when?
Early 2025.
Okay.
This year. The beaver-made dams in Birdie not only recreated a functioning wetland, but also provided long-term benefits, reducing flood risks, preventing drought effects, and maintaining a balanced ecosystem.
This is kind of like sending in a herd of goats to clear out kudzu or something, and you just fence them in and let them go.
You mean we're
with the
allowing
animals.
nature to restore homeostasis by itself?
That was a big word.
It is. I'm
It's
a smart
amazing
person.
that the earth does what it does.
You would think that, if it does that, maybe
There we
this
go.
heating thing, global warming, maybe it's just a natural
You mean the
climate
anger of
change.
James Spann
Oh.
at passages?
So maybe we shouldn't
James will
spray
get over it
aerosol
eventually.
over the sun,
or
and just
block the sun's rays.
we could block the sun out.
maybe we should just
It seems
let
to me
the
that-
earth do earth.
that was it Etna that erupted? Probably put enough ash to kind of cool the environment a little bit. Maybe I don't know.
Hmm.
Interesting. Now, have y'all ever been out like hunting or out around where there are beavers and heard one slap the water?
Yes.
We were duck hunting in December. I think it was in December at a preserve in Georgia, and we were sitting in a shooting house, and it sounded like a gunshot. Those things can slap the water so loud. And the guide from behind us, he was on the shore behind us, which is a safe place to be if me and the boys have shotguns, is behind us. He said, if y'all see that beaver, you try to shoot it. They're quick. They're very quick. But it'll if it does it and you're not expecting it, it'll scare the daylights out of you.
I'm trying to play one now. This video. Oh, that wasn't it.
That sounds like when you're canoeing and you try to recreate the beaver tail. Yeah, most farmers shoot them on site because they do make a mess.
Yep.
They love chewing trees and knocking trees down. And
Well, they're just trying to return homeostasis.
They have a role.
Homeostasis.
they have a role in the ecology. Leave the beavers alone, people.
Leave it to beavers.
Let them
Leave
Leave
it
it
to
to
the
beaver.
beavers.
Leave it to beaver. So are we ready for a break?
I think
it'd
we're
be
ready
good
for
for
a
us to
break.
take one. We don't have a bad preacher, but we do have an important segment coming up next. So hang on, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. We're doing a different segment in place of the bad preacher tonight. There's been a lot going on in the Middle East, and so we thought it's time for a Your Mind is a Muscle. Let's let the music play just a minute here.
Come here, you little puny boy. I'll show you how to learn. You see these bulging muscles here? They're never my concern. It's fun to play athletic games, but you've left something out. You need to exercise your brain. This is what I'm talking about. Your mind is a muscle. Can't you understand? You can do anything when it's under your command. Your mind is a muscle. Can't you understand? Your mind is a muscle and it needs some exercise.
That's my brother Ash Kaiser with the Bonus Point Band. Your mind is a muscle.
We might
So-
have just need to have a Kaiser music night and just play y'all's stuff because I was rocking to that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that's a really good CD from top to bottom. You can go to bonuspointband.com and stream it for free.
It's thebonuspointband.com.
Thebonuspointband.com.
Do we have like any Riddle Creek boys or what was that group called?
the Forked Deer River Boys?
Something like that.
My
yeah.
one of my first groups up at Freed Hardeman. I don't have any recordings of the Forked Deer River
but
Boys.
what about the group with your
little
the
bluegrass
group with your
group down here?
brothers?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was,
There's some video of that,
Yeah.
but the
We need a little
recording
bit of that.
quality is not that great.
I was thinking about that the other day. That was some fun times sitting around listening to y'all sing and play.
I had
We had some good times.
I had a band with passenger Joel Henry. Joel was in the bluegrass group too, played stand-up bass. But Joel and I, the first group that we put together, we called ourselves Lipo Sound.
Lipo sound.
Lipo Sound.
I like it.
It was awesome. Not really, but we had a lot of fun.
I see why you changed the
So
name.
why are we here tonight? Your mind is a muscle. A lot of stuff's going on in the Middle East and a lot of confusion, I think, about Israel and our responsibility to Israel. And all of this came to a head in an interview with Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. So we got a clip of that. I want to play that and then talk a little bit about how should we view Israel today as Christians. Biblically, how should we view Israel?
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what? Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
So let's get out of the way the pompous attitude of Tucker Carlson and the anger that Ted Cruz is barely keeping in
Let's
under
all
control.
agree Tucker Carlson is a jerk.
He isn't that.
Well, he's kind of the
I'm-
shock jock, kind of just, yeah.
And I listened to some of the other parts of this discussion as well.
The whole interview was like
right.
that.
And so, there was another portion of the interview where he was talking about Iran.
Mhm.
And basically he was like, Ted Cruz, you don't know anything about Iran. So why are we bombing them? You don't know what their population is.
Yeah.
You don't know what their ethnic makeup is. You don't know what you're talking about. And at one point, Ted Cruz said, you don't know what you're talking about. It's like,
No.
it was like, I'm rubber and you're glue.
My dad can beat up your dad.
So, I mean, listen, I don't think Tucker was completely fair. I mean, it feels like
Tucker was also
he
wrong.
sort of ambushed him.
I think he was right.
He said it was in Genesis, where I believe it's in Numbers, is it not?
There is a passage in Numbers, but there's also the promise to Abraham in Genesis 12.
I will bless those who bless you.
Yeah.
but
Is
I will
that
bless those who-
generally?
yeah.
Is
So
that
he's talking to
generally
Abraham, but
not-
he's talking about his people.
Yeah.
Is he though? Is he? I mean,
Well, so
in context, he's talking to Abram.
and Cruz quoted Numbers.
What's
where
the Numbers
Whoever
passage?
blesses Numbers 24:9. Whoever blesses, well, I'm in the second part of it, but whoever blesses Israel will be blessed, and whoever curses Israel will
And I
be
guess-
cursed.
Yeah, but that
Tucker
goes back
said-
to the covenant with Abraham.
Yeah.
That was passed on to Isaac and then passed down to Jacob. And then eventually Moses and the Israelites were the inheritors of that.
But the question that I really liked, even though I don't like the way he asked it, is does that refer? He kept saying,
Define Israel.
define Israel. Is that the same Israel that ran the prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu? That was his
Excellent
question.
Which is a really good question, even if you hold to a belief that physical Israel still, there's a blessing through them, right? Because when you look at what is going on in that land, right? I mean, people were scattered out of there, 1948, right? They come back and are given that land, in that area, right, where Israel was, now don't you have Gaza and the Palestinians and all that? So I think that, Tucker was saying, are we sure that, this entity that, it'd be like us calling ourselves, the Israel Church of Christ, and all of a sudden we're Israel.
Yeah. It's got a checkered past. Can you prove these people are? I think you can say these are Israelites. I think you can say that. But the question is, which Israel?
But are we
supposed
not
to receive the promises?
Are we not all descendant of Abraham anyway? I guess not everyone is, but you've got both groups over there that are fighting against each other. You've got folks that are descendant from Israel.
But Isaac was the child of promise.
You got Isaac and I don't know.
Ishmaelites and children of Isaac. Isaac was the child of promise.
The current state. So I did some digging about the creation of, let's call it modern Israel. I don't know a better way, or the state of Israel. So that started on May 14th, 1948. David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Jewish agency, proclaimed the establishment of the state of Israel. U.S. President Harry S. Truman recognized the new nation on the same day. And then that is when they started looking at where they're going. I guess that made them a permanent nation. But soon after Truman took office, he appointed several experts to study the Palestinian issue. In the summer of 1946, Truman established a special cabinet committee under the chairmanship of Dr. Henry Grady, the Assistant Secretary of State, who entered into negotiations with a parallel British committee to discuss the future of Palestine. In May of 46, Truman announced his approval of a recommendation to admit 100,000 displaced persons, talking about Jews, into Palestine, and in October publicly declared his support for the creation of a Jewish state, which was then brought to fruition in May 14th, 1948, so a couple years later. That's modern Israel. That is where they are located now. There was not.
And they brought Jews back into that area, right?
They did. Displaced. Started
Many
with
of them
100,000
came from the
displaced. Yep.
Yeah.
And before that, there was not a quote unquote government state of Israel.
Right. It was pretty disordered.
There was Israel, the descendants of Abraham, but there was not necessarily a government that was Israel.
There was an ethnic Israel.
There we go. That's a good way to put it.
In diaspora, however you say it, all over the world.
Yep.
Now, here, I just want to make two quick points because we could talk about this forever. The first thing is, and the real question is, which Israel receives the promises? And is today's Israel that Israel? And what are the promises? What has been promised? Well, the first point that I want to make is God's chosen people today are the spiritual Israel, which is also known as the church.
And I thought that's where Tucker was maybe going, right?
I think that's what his position was.
I wish he had made that point, because when he was saying, where's it biblically commanded? If he had gone that if you hold to this belief, right? Either you hold to a belief about Israel and, probably some premillennial beliefs and things of that nature. But if he, holds to a belief that there is a different Israel, I wish he had just come out and said it.
Yeah.
If he had said, don't you believe the church is spiritual Israel?
Yeah.
It would have blown Ted Cruz's mind, but it would have sort of solidified, this guy sort of knows what he's talking about.
Right. Yeah, it would have. And he did a lot better than I could in the heat of the moment. Let me just read a little bit from Romans. Here's Romans 2. Listen to this in terms of which Israel. The circumcision, Romans 2:25. Circumcision indeed is of value if you obey the law, but if you break the law, your circumcision becomes uncircumcision. Circumcision was the physical seal of who was an Israelite. So if a man who is uncircumcised keeps the precepts of the law, will not his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision? We're starting to talk about something spiritual.
We're moving away
He's
from
calling
the physical
Gentiles
side. Yeah.
Israel is what he's doing. Circumcision is just a word for Israel. Then he who is physically uncircumcised but keeps the law will condemn you who have the written code, the Old Testament, and circumcision, but break the law. For no one is a Jew who is merely one outwardly, nor is circumcision outward and physical, but a Jew is one inwardly, and circumcision is a matter of the heart. And then I want to go over to Romans 9. Listen to verse 6. Not all who are descended from Israel belong to Israel. There are two Israels there. And the first one is an ethnic Israel, and that's the one everybody's fighting about.
Mhm.
And the second is the church.
It's spiritual Israel.
Spiritual Israel. And he says, not all who are ethnically Israelites belong to the ultimate, the real Israel today. Galatians does a lot of the same, covers the same territory.
Mhm.
And over in Galatians chapter 3, and I don't want to take up too much time here, but it's better to read the passages than just refer to them, I think. He talks about Christ as the fulfillment of the purpose of Israel. In verse 16, the promises were made to Abraham and to his offspring. I will bless those who bless you. I will curse those who curse you. It does not say, and to offsprings, referring to many, but referring to one, to your offspring, who is Christ. And he goes on to say that Scripture imprisoned everything under sin, and the law was our guardian until Christ came in order that we might be justified by faith. But now that faith has come, we are no longer under a guardian, no longer under the old covenant with the nation of Israel, the ethnic Israel. For in Christ Jesus you are all sons of God through faith. For as many of you as were baptized into Christ and put on Christ, there's neither Jew nor Greek, there's neither slave nor free, there's no male and female. You are all one in Christ Jesus. And listen to this, if you are Christ's, then you are Abraham's offspring, heirs according to the promise. He's not talking to ethnic Jews there. And he ends the letter referring to the church as the Israel of God. Galatians 6, chapter 16. There are other passages we could look at and other things we can talk about. I just wanted to get that out there first, that as the church, we have we have been united, brought together with the old covenant people who also weren't all descended from Abraham. Ruth wasn't descended from Abraham. I mean, we could throw out other examples, but you could become a covenant person even if you weren't descended from Abraham physically. It's always been a spiritual concept. Now, that's my first point, is the chosen people today is the church. The second point, real quick, there are no chosen people who have no faith in Jesus. And so I don't care what your nationality is, you can only come to the Father through Christ. He's the only hope for humanity. And God is not going to save anybody any other way but through Jesus Christ. So if you're not a Christian, you don't have the hope of the promises of God. That's the only way God is going to save anybody, is through Jesus Christ. And last time I checked, Christ is not the center of the nation of Israel right now.
So a question. So to me, what you read, very cut and dry. I think the Bible clearly speaks to that. And just a few verses you shared, it's clear that there is I guess you would call it a physical or descendant Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is a spiritual Israel.
Mm-hmm.
The church is the spiritual Israel. We are the people of God. We are descendants of Abraham because of our relationship with God through Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that in the United States, we see such a call from evangelicals to defend Israel as being God's chosen people? Where does that come from? Because, you know, the things that happened to the Jewish people, to the ethnic or descendant Israel, were awful. The Holocaust, awful. But when you hear people talking about, and I hear this a lot at work because I have conversations with people all the time, and the Middle East has been coming up a lot. They talk about how it is our responsibility, it is our duty as Christians to defend God's people. Where does that come from?
Well, that's what Tucker Carlson was asking Ted Cruz, and all he could say is the Bible says whoever blesses Israel will be blessed, whoever curses Israel will be cursed. So we have a responsibility to come to Israel's aid. I think there are political reasons to help Israel.
I agree.
But I don't believe there are religious reasons to help them.
And I think if you look in the long term at the relationship that we've had with Israel, you know, amount of aid that we've given them, Ted Cruz is not in a vacuum. There are a lot of people in powerful positions that make political decisions based on similar thoughts, based on thoughts I believe that are somewhat like Christ is coming back to reign in Jerusalem, and we better be on the side of the people who are in control of that area.
That's what I was getting
exactly what this is built on.
That's where I was getting to with that question.
Premillennialism.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's,
but people don't know where. I'm sorry to interrupt, but people like Ted Cruz obviously don't know where they get it. They've just been raised in it, and I don't know if this really amped up in 1948 or if it was in the ether before that. But you know, when you start pressing them with some good questions like which Israel, define Israel, they can't answer the question.
Yeah,
he just kept saying, a smart guy.
He just kept saying Israel, and it's like, well, which one are we talking about?
The nation of Israel,
Right, yeah.
the current nation with Netanyahu.
Or the nation that was carried
they're the
away
ones
by
who have Israel on their
Nebuchadnezzar.
back right now. So I guess so, right? I mean, it was that kind of logic, right?
And I'm not saying that our support for Israel is wrong.
No,
I think Israel,
I think they've been
they align
they're a
with
fairly
us.
good ally, right?
They align with us in many things, politically, environmentally, in that area, in that region. They are someone that we need, we trust, and I'm fine with supporting them.
If you get into a situation where we support them from a, you know,
God commands us
from
to
God's
standpoint.
command to do it, versus we will align with them if they uphold principles that we believe in, right? If they're the good guys of this area, that's two different things, right? And that's the scary part of what we've done with them as a country, right? I agree with you. I think, you know, they've probably been, you know, our closest ally, and they've helped in a lot of ways in a lot of situations in the Middle East. But I think also we've thrust ourselves into an awful lot of things over there, I believe, in cases because it was Israel with that name that maybe we should have stayed out of potentially. Or, I mean, I think we inject ourselves into a lot of stuff in the Middle East because of this discussion we're having right now.
Yes. Now, Jason, another answer to your question is, for some people, they think God still has not fulfilled the land promise. The land promise. And that we have some responsibility to be used by God to help that fulfillment along, like God needs help.
Well,
but I want to draw your attention to the end of Joshua 21. Joshua settled the land, right? And at the end of the settlement, Joshua 21 ends saying, not one word of all the good promises that the Lord had made to the house of Israel had failed. All came to pass. That's in the context, not of the Messiah, that was still coming, but in the context of the land, it was done.
Well, and
finished.
He gave them the land. And if you read through the Old Testament, why did they lose the land? Over and over and over and over and over.
They broke the covenant.
They turned away from God. God sent a nation, and they were removed from that land over and over and over after the promise was fulfilled.
Yeah. Another answer to your question about why are people doing this, I think Tim really makes a good point with the dispensational premillennialism and that idea of Christ reigning literally for 1,000 years from the city of Jerusalem, which is based upon a symbol in one passage of Scripture in Revelation 20. But also you have Romans 11. Now, Romans 11 is probably the hardest chapter in the Bible to understand. You think Revelation is hard? Go to Romans 9 through 11, try to sort all that out. There are a couple of things there that people go crazy over, and one is the statement that Paul makes in Romans 11, verse 26, which says, "In this way, all Israel will be saved." And other translations just say, "So all Israel will be saved." But the word translated "so" or better, "in this way," means in this manner, and he's talking about Christ. So he's not saying all Israel will be saved. He's saying if Israel obeys Christ, this is the way all Israel will be saved. He says it's conditional in the context here. And the other statement that people will go crazy over is verse 28 of Romans 11. As regards the gospel, the Jewish people, he's speaking to Gentiles in Rome, Gentile Christians, they are enemies of God for your sake. But as regards election, and sometimes that's translated choice, they are beloved for the sake of their forefathers. And they'll read into that, they're still the chosen people. But he doesn't say that. He says, as regards being chosen, election, the people of God, they are beloved for the sake of their forefathers. In other words, don't hate Jewish people, even those who have not accepted Christ. They deserve honor and respect, and Paul does a lot of this in the beginning of chapter 11. So now maybe he's pointing toward a national revival near the end of time. I don't know. I mean, there's some room there for speculation, but I'm going to tell you this. If there is a national revival of Israel coming near the end of time, it's only going to come through Christ. It's not going to be saving Jewish people who don't accept Christ, either because they're atheists or secular or because they are still waiting on the Messiah. Only through Christ. But I think Romans 11 is another reason that people are trying to defend Israel from a religious point of view.
I think it's just sometimes sold by our government that we need to do this for the religious reason, and they use that to champion the cause when we all know the real cause is trying to seek stability, political stuff, environment, oil, riches, whatever that is, and they use this, I don't know, this kind of a Zionist movement to try to try and
you're saying they manipulate us?
Yeah, they bamboozle us.
I think they know us, and they know how to pull those strings.
I think if you go back to so going back to this interview that was going on, one thing that was very interesting about it is how contentious it was, right? And one thing that if you're not involved in politics very much, these are two guys on the same side.
Yeah.
These are two conservatives, maybe of different, slidings up and down the conservative scale. But this is not like Tucker Carlson just brought Nancy Pelosi in.
Or James Carville.
Right. They're mortal, political enemies, and that level of contention goes on. This, I don't think, would be a normal way that Tucker Carlson would handle one of these interviews. I was listening to another segment of the interview, the part where he was really getting on his case about Iran and why did we do that attack? and maybe the answer to that is they had a nuclear capability. They were so close, whatever, and it was instability in the world. Hey, all of that's fine. But the question's still legit. Why did we do this? And where Tucker Carlson was going was he made the point, I saw this when we went into Iraq, and in the George W. Bush presidency, and it was all about weapons of mass destruction, and there were reasons that we went in. We'll be embraced by the Iraqi people. A lot of things that didn't happen. We got into the depths of a war, that was very difficult to get out of. And his whole point was, I'm not sure we want to do this again. It's all, it's also interesting when you put it in the context of everything that we've just been talking about. Do we thrust ourselves into conflicts sometimes because of all this underlying stuff that we're talking about?
Are we fighting a holy war?
Right.
That's the concerning question.
That's perfectly put.
We try to stay off politics. I don't feel like Donald Trump is fighting a holy war. Especially that a few days have passed since the bombing, and he made a disturbing statement about regime change, and then he's backed off of that a little. What you were talking about in Iraq, that was a regime change. I mean, we were in there.
We went in with a purpose to throw this leader out.
And then we were there forever, and they didn't welcome us. And they didn't find the weapons of mass destruction. And so I get the concern, but if we're just protecting the world from nuclear weapons, that's another thing. So that little off subject, but yeah, it's all about motives.
Yeah.
Why are we fighting this war?
And are we being manipulated? And by we, I mean the general populace.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm a conspiracy theorist. I always think
in what way and in what place, right?
Right.
What's real and what's not.
But people get really, I have heard more about our role with protecting Israel, and this is the end of times, in the last 2 weeks.
And we're old enough to have heard that multiple times now.
It's amazing to me the conviction that people have behind them on this. And I don't know that the conviction is, I applaud them for sticking to their beliefs and their convictions, but at the same time, I wonder sometimes if it's not misdirected.
Yeah. And a lot of that's coming from Matthew 24 and the parallel passages where Jesus is predicting the destruction of Jerusalem. And in the latter part of that chapter, his second coming as two different events, and they merge them together, and they're looking for signs, and they're looking for the abomination of desolation and wars and rumors of wars, and they pick out certain things that match what's always going on in the Middle East. And then they've got something to talk about at the barbershop. But
or the eye doctor.
And that's okay in the reception area of the eye clinic, not the waiting room, the reception area.
Very good, Drew.
But when you're running our country, let's get some facts straight.
Yeah.
That's all.
Well, and just don't sell us a bill of goods that this is why we're doing it, when we all know there's politically motivated reasons for it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for indulging me on that subject. I wanted to hash that out with you guys. And I hope we all learned something. After all, your mind is a muscle. So don't forget that. Do we have time for a passage today?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll be back.
Let's come back with the passage.
Volleyball or golf. Just wait until you see these games. They'll change your frame of mind. Geometry and history. Reading, writing, arithmetic, science. Your life is just a game, you know. You have to think to win. So if you are competitive, Let's see what shape your brain is in. Your mind is a muscle. Can't you understand? You can do anything when it's under your command. Your mind is a muscle. Can't you understand? Your mind is a muscle and it needs some. Hey, your mind is a muscle. Can't you understand? You can do anything when it's under your command. Your mind is a muscle. Can't you understand? Your mind is a muscle and it needs some exercise. It needs some exercise. It needs some exercise. It needs some exercise. It needs some exercise.
Welcome back. It is time for our passage for tonight. And tonight's passage comes from Leo Tolstoy. I'm not going to try to pronounce his. Drew, you want to do his real name?
No.
Okay.
No. It's late.
Comes from Tolstoy's War and Peace, I believe. So here's the passage. A man on a 1,000-mile walk has to forget his goal and say to himself every morning, today I'm going to cover 25 miles and then rest up and sleep.
It's fitting that this comes from War and Peace because this is the War and Peace of passages. We're going long tonight, but
it's a record episode.
Got a lot to talk about. Yeah, I really like this selection, and it's about taking bite-sized pieces instead of shoving the whole thing in your mouth.
I was just writing down the lower brow version of this quote, which is, how do you eat an elephant?
Yep.
One bite at a time, right?
That's the consulting way to put it. Can't eat the whole elephant. Can't boil the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Right.
One day at a time.
One day at a time.
There are several problems that this quote would help. One is procrastination. We procrastinate these overwhelming projects. And the way you get over that is you look at the project and you break it down into its component parts, and then you just do one of those parts at a time. And then the other thing I'm thinking of is anxiety. What is anxiety? It comes from being overwhelmed by all the things out there in your future beyond your control. And the Lord's statement on this goes hand in hand with what Tolstoy says. Matthew 6:34, do not be anxious about tomorrow. Tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Take one day at a time. And, you know, when I came down with a chronic illness and started dealing with Parkinson's, this became a very important concept because my mind can go crazy thinking about my future and what's going to happen. How long am I going to be able to work? When am I going to have to retire? Am I going to have enough to retire on? On and on. How long will my disease progress? What kind of condition will I be in? Blah, blah, blah. And I look at today and there's plenty to be grateful about. Blessings all around me and enough to worry about for today, and just let tomorrow take care of itself, because most of the things that we imagine will happen in the future don't happen.
Yeah. There was a book I read one time that talked about our worries, and it was like 85% of the things we worry about never, ever even come close to being into existence. I like this thought because I'm kind of a big picture person. I like to think and plan for the future. And then I do what you mentioned earlier. I procrastinate because I see the project and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to ever get there. And it's easier just to ignore it than to work towards it. And one day at a time or 25 miles at a time. And then I love that he says, rest up and sleep at the end of it. It's not just walk 25 miles or walk 50 miles. I don't know how many miles you can walk in a day. I try not to walk any. But I would think you can walk more than 25 miles in a day. The brilliance in what he says is don't overdo it too. Give yourself time to rest, to restore, and to sleep, because we've all had those days where we're in really bad places and there's nothing better than a good night of sleep and a fresh start the next morning.
According to the Google, a healthy, fit person can typically walk between 20 and 30 miles a day. So 25 is a pretty good
big push.
Pretty good average there.
Richard could probably do that.
Like 50.
You could outdo it.
Yeah.
I might get a mile. Maybe.
You know, y'all keep mentioning procrastination. And I saw a video, and every time somebody brings up procrastination, I want to tell them about this video, and I can never find it again. But in this video, this guy explains procrastination in a way that has really resonated with me. And basically he said, procrastination is really just an initial irritation. There's an irritation to getting started. So whatever, you know, you're looking at the project you're talking about, and I mean, I can talk about my pavering project. It seems like a lot of work to put cubic yards of gravel down, move through 3,700 pounds of pavers, all this stuff. And if you look at it as all of that at once, that's a lot of work. But the first step is you got to dig the hole. So there's that initial irritation of, man, if I'm start this is going to be a lot of work. But if this video hypothesis was, if you can get over the initial irritation, which is the hard part, admittedly, this is, you know, easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can if you can trick your brain into that initial irritation, taking that first step, procrastination kind of largely goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that. I've never heard it explained that way.
I feel like Tim was about to say
sitting over there.
something.
Really quiet.
I was just
I just dozed off, honestly, guys.
just pondering this whole idea of the big challenge, right? And you know, sometimes we are just we're petrified by something that is, you know, that seems so big. How do we even start at it, right? And you know, Drew, you mentioned this earlier, right? But you've got to carve that thing down into some manageable chunks, right? And we're not always talking about just pure division here, right? You know, we're not talking about just dividing 1,000 into 25-mile increments. But you know, you've got some giant project that you're working on. Well, how do I get started at it, right? And how do I get it into manageable pieces? And what's even the first thing I'm supposed to tackle here? And so, you know, there's some planning to that, and some art to figuring out whatever's in front of you, you know, how you're going to tackle it. But sometimes we're just talking about how to tackle life, right? You were talking about this in relation to Parkinson's, and you know, sometimes when you just allow the conglomeration of all the responsibilities that you have to start weighing you down, you know, how do you chunk that apart, right?
You can't process everything at once.
Right.
You're not made for that. It's not the way we operate.
And maybe that's the time when you just need to step back and rest when it comes to life like that. And it's also the part where you still have to apply this principle in some way, which is, maybe the way is just put one foot in front of the other one tomorrow. Think about one thing that you need to work on, and work on that one thing. Don't let the daunting task that you have in front of you paralyze you completely. Make progress at something, even if it's not the most important thing, even if it's not the most urgent thing. Maybe get to work on something, right? Get past that irritation. And so, you know, when you just start thinking about the challenge of life and all the different hats you wear and all the different responsibilities you have, and sometimes that can be your 1,000-mile journey. And, you know, somehow you got to narrow that down to, just like we've said on all the other things. I'm repeating a lot of the things that you guys said, you know, in a little different light, but you've got to get it to a manageable chunk, and you've got to take action. Because, you know, the challenge here is to just say, I could never walk 1,000 miles, and tomorrow to say, I could never walk 1,000 miles. And if you say that, you'll never walk 1,000 miles. You'll never get even close. You got to make some progress in some way. And sometimes you got to analyze that. And sometimes you just got to sort of put one foot and step in front of another one and create some motion around something. You need to do something positive.
I read in a book, I don't remember what the book was, but it was talking about people who have hard time, just, I want to say they were dealing with some depression. So just even getting out of bed or cleaning your house or cooking food or eating, anything like that. And the book talked about this of just look, one foot in front of the other. It's, the time's going to go on and you can either lay here or whatever, or you can get up and
lie here.
Dang it. You can either lie here and, do nothing, or you can get up and, I don't know, maybe you just make your bed. Maybe that's the only thing you do today is you make your bed. I don't make my bed, but you get up and you make your bed, and that's the one thing you've done today. And that's enough for today.
Because you did something.
You accomplished that first step. And now tomorrow, maybe you can put your foot in front of that foot and do step 2 of, I don't know, cook breakfast or whatever it is.
Yeah. One thing I want to say about this that I think is important is there's some days you wake up and you say, I'm going to cover 25 miles. And then James Spann goes on vacation and a heat wave comes in. And you cannot do 25 miles. Give yourself room for grace on those days. Because sometimes when things don't go exactly like we want them to, which for some of us seems to be quite often, it's easy to get down, to beat yourself up, to feel shame, to feel guilt, to feel worthless. You name it. It can make you feel that way. And you still, at the end of the day, if you walked 15 miles, you got to think, I'm 15 miles closer to 1,000 than I was the day before. And the next day, shoot for 25 that day.
Sometimes enough is enough.
Yeah. And we're bad to set these goals and get these ideas of what we need to have done. But the day has always got a surprise for us. And you never know what's going to happen. And sometimes just getting to work, smiling and being friendly may be a successful day for you. Yeah. And then some days you may be able to run 25 miles.
I used to tell Millie's sister that not every day at work was a home run day. That some days you hit singles, some days you just hit a foul ball, some days you strike out. Mm-hmm. But you're in the game. Right. And so, every day is not going to be the best part of the journey. There's going to be some 1 mile days and 10 mile days. And, maybe there's some 30 mile days, right? Even more than what you, thought you could get. And all of those kinds of concepts transfer over into the life of a Christian, right? Mm-hmm. And that whole idea of the Christian walk being a marathon, and so when it comes to our spiritual life, a lot of that's the same kind of thing, right? How do I get over this sin that I cannot seem to get out of my life? And the answer to that's not, well, Tim, you're going to live 30 more years. And so somehow you've got to figure out this sin that's plagued you. How do you not commit it for the next 30 years? And the way that you don't commit it for the next 30 years is you don't commit it tomorrow.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't commit it this hour. This
minute.
Yeah.
That's the way, that's the way this gets real to us spiritually is, we got to think about our spiritual lives and the challenges and the temptations that each of us uniquely face in life, no matter what concept there are. Is it just something that you're attracted to, something that you've let take over you? Is it pride? Is it arrogance? Is it your tongue? Whatever it is, you know, if you think about, well, I've done that for so long. How do I stop doing it? How do I change the way words come out of my mouth? Well, you say, tomorrow I'm going to not do that. And that's the only way that we change anything. We don't change anything trying to look that far down the line.
And one last thing I'll add to that. You know how it makes it easier to walk 1,000 miles or 25 miles a day with somebody, or to fight against some long fighting sin that's just killing you? Take a friend with you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Take little bites, a day at a time. But don't do it alone. Because you and I could go individually and try to walk a mile. Let's be realistic, a mile. And I don't know that I would get a full mile.
Yeah, this 25 is really giving me a problem.
Yeah, I might get 25 in a year. But let's say we go individually and do it as a mile. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
But if you and I are walking along, talking, sharing our experience, we'll look up and be done with the mile like that.
Yeah.
Because it's always easier to face something with somebody else. This is why Ecclesiastes talks about a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken.
That's right.
And you've gone 2 miles.
Yeah.
Technically. I do like what you really said. And I think I do really like what I just got really screwed up.
Well, you're just afraid that the grammar police is going to get you down here.
I do really like what you said a second ago about some days, just a little bit's enough. There's an amount in a day that's just enough. And if you can, and this is where I think a lot of the people that in my life sort of, they struggle with this part of there's an amount of grace that you owe yourself.
Absolutely.
That is, I don't know, an inalienable right to have. And it's not something that your brain tells yourself you don't deserve it, but in reality you do. And if you can convince your brain or yourself to give yourself a little bit of grace of, hey, I got up and made my bed this morning and that was enough because you're enough kind of thing, you know.
That's exactly right.
I think that's what a lot of people miss out on is maybe they're so busy extending everybody else grace, they don't leave enough for themselves.
A rule of thumb I learned in recovery work was you owe yourself as much grace as you would be willing to give someone.
Yeah.
Because we'll all give other people tons of grace.
Yeah.
Man, we'll be hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let me, I feel like I need to backtrack a little bit on something I said about this from a spiritual perspective, right? You know, because the implication of my illustration there was you're going to be perfect, right? And part of
I
our
didn't take it that way.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
I just want to clarify that, right? You know, that, when I said, how do you overcome a problem for the next 30 years, and you do it one day at a time. But if on day 13, you have a problem with that, what do? Start back tomorrow.
Pick up a white chip, recommit, and start over.
Right.
Day 14 is tomorrow.
Right. Is we're going again, right? And to your point about grace, what we're talking about here, and the beautiful thing about being a Christian is 1 John 1 that talks about walking in the light. What we're talking about here is trying to live a life walking in the light. And that means I hate sin, and I try my best to live a life that indicates my hatred for sin. Am I going to sin? Am I going to have that day 14 where I succumb to something that I have a problem with? Yeah. Is it going to be the pattern of my life? No. That's called walking in the light. And that's where the blood of Christ continually cleanses us. And so, I think, that's the other part of it. Our spiritual walk here is we're human and we're not going to be perfect, but what's our attitude towards sin? Do you welcome it in? Or do you hate it? And that journey that we're going to be on, going to be some hiccups along the way, but what's our attitude? I think that determines where we stand in terms of walking in the light with Christ.
Progress, not perfection.
Patrick was talking about being enough. I think this is enough for this episode.
Yeah. Well, we can't end it talking about walking 1,000 miles without
Oh no,
a little
that's right.
a little proclaimer.
would walk 500 miles. I would walk 500 more.
All right, thank
That's
you.
all we got.
Oh, I was gonna, I was gonna fade out.
That's all we can play.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So we
that was
get-
a little too much, really.
It might be.
You might have to go back to the Phil Collins episode where we played the legal amount. Thanks everybody for joining us. We're so glad that we have so many encouraging listeners. You keep us going, keep spreading the word, and join us next time on Passages.
Follow us on Instagram at passages_podcast. And join us next time on Passages.